You're listening to Peter H's DVD Review on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Peter H's DVD Review number 10, the 10th show. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania 10 from Madison Square Garden. And before I get started, it looks like we have a caller right off the gun here. So area code 813, you're on the air.
Damn, that's fast. I didn't even press 1.
How you doing, man?
That's weird. I just wanted to listen. I didn't even press 1, and it just automatically went through. What's up?
Not much. It's Big D from Super Friends.
Oh, God, I'm tired.
I can mute you if you want to listen to the show.
Well, it's up to you. Do you need me tonight?
Maybe later. I'll get you back after I do the review of the WrestleMania there.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so let's go right to the review. As I said before, tonight is WrestleMania 10, and before I start, I just want to say I hope everybody had a happy Halloween. Lots of candy, lots of fun, lots of drunken fun. So, anyways, let's go. We go WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden. The DVD starts out with a video package from the first WrestleMania. You got all the basic stuff like Cyndi Lauper and Hulk Hogan and Mr. T and Liberace, and then it fades into a nice little video package with WrestleMania 10 showing Bret Hart and Lex Luger and Yokozuna. They go to the ring. McMahon says, "Welcome to WrestleMania 10," and we go to America the Beautiful, sung by Little Richard. After that, we go to a video package highlighting the first match between Bret Hart and Owen Hart. This is one of the best matches you'll ever see on WrestleMania. It's one of my top 3 matches of all time, WrestleMania. They basically show a video package basically explaining the feud from Survivor Series to the Royal Rumble to the week before WrestleMania when Owen cut a really good promo against Bret, and interviewing him in the middle of the ring was actually Johnny Polo, who everybody knows it was Raven. Owen versus Bret, this is the technical matchup. These two guys know each other. What can you say about this match? This is a very technical match. It's a great match to open a show that basically gets the crowd going from the start. And it ends with, it has a lot of counters and everything else, and actually the end of the match is Owen reversing a victory roll by Bret, and Owen pins the legs 1, 2, 3. Owen gets the quote-unquote upset victory over his bigger brother, and basically that sets up the feud down the road for SummerSlam, Owen versus Bret in a steel cage, the old blue bars steel cage, and that's another great match between the two guys. I just want to say a quick shout out to the chat room at AngryMarks.com/chat. I was in there earlier tonight for K4D. And also, if anybody wants to contact me, it's PeterH@AngryMarks.com. And of course, if you want to call in, the area code here is area code 914-338-1719. So, back to the review. After Owen wins, he's interviewed by Todd Pettengill backstage, basically saying, I finally did it, I stepped out of your shadow type of deal. They go right to a WrestleMania 2 clip talking about the infamous Battle Royal that I believe was won by, I believe it was Andre the Giant, actually. I can't remember. They didn't really show the winner. They just showed everybody in the ring. They had football players and wrestlers. It was a pretty cool Battle Royal. If you might notice by now, my voice is starting to crack a little bit. A little bit too much fun last night, but what can you do? So I'm going to try to just speed this up. They go back to the ring, and the Fink is there with Cy Sperling, who is the Hair Club for Men president, and basically Fink has a new head of hair, basically, and basically it's a big plug for the Hair Club for Men. That's kind of a pun, actually. So we go from a great technical battle between Owen and Bret, and they give us Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon in a mixed tag match versus Dink and Doink. ECW wrestler Bam Bam Bigelow fighting a clown at WrestleMania. Not exactly great match. Bam Bam, of course, won with the top rope headbutt. Post-match saw the heels try to isolate Dink the Midget, and to no avail. The next segment, it's pretty stupid. It is, I even hate to say it, I have to say it, a Bill Clinton impersonator in the luxury box, in the president's box, so to speak, and you'll see him in a couple of skits later on. They show a WrestleMania 3 clip, basically talking about Hulk versus Andre. And then the next match, the only time I ever heard of this rule, I could be wrong, and, maybe Dee will talk about it later, when I have him on later after the review is over. But it's a Falls Count Anywhere match between Randy Macho Man Savage and Crush. Crush, of course, this time being manager Mr. Fuji. A Falls Count Anywhere match, and the objective of the purpose of the match is once you pin your opponent, the pinned opponent has 60 seconds to make it back to the ring. If they don't make it to a count of 60 back to the ring, the match is over. It's kind of like Texas Death Match. You get pinned, you get a 10 count to get up. This is a variation of that. A lot of crowd brawling. They were in the ring for a few minutes, but most of it was outside the ring. The finish saw Savage pin Crush backstage and then tie his feet up so that he couldn't get back to the ring to make it for the 60-second count. So Savage wins that match. They go back to the presidential box. They interview Clinton again, quote-unquote Clinton, and IRS talking about, thank you for raising the taxes. Pretty stupid segment, if you ask me. Now this is kind of cool. They show a video package of the very first Fan Fest. So if anyone wants to know, the first Fan Fest was at WrestleMania 10. They had Doink in a freaking Dunk the Clown cage, and they had you could wrestle in the own little ring, and they had you could call your own match type of thing. So now we go to Macho Man Savage celebrating at the Paramount Theater at Madison Square Garden with the fans who are watching on a closed circuit TV. I think UFC does that with their pay-per-views. They do the closed circuit where they watch the pay-per-view. They can watch. I think I read somewhere Matt Serra was at that theater for one of the UFCs a few of the UFCs ago. Okay. The next WrestleMania clip is shown, WrestleMania 4. They show the title tournament where Savage, of course, won the title. Next, we have the women's title match. It is Lilana Kay versus Alundra Blaze. Blaze using pyro in her entrance when she gets to the ring. I think it's the first time. She's the first person to use pyro in their entrance at WrestleMania this year, so that's pretty cool. They showed a bunch of legends in attendance. In one row of seats, actually, they had Classy Freddie Blassie, Captain Lou Albano, Nikolai Volkov, Mae Young, and Fabulous Moolah. Of course, Alundra Blaze won the match with a suplex of all things. They mentioned Lilana Kay was actually at the first WrestleMania. They go to WrestleMania 5, and it's the segment Piper's Pit with Brother Love and Morton Downey Jr. The next match, Men on a Mission versus the Quebecers in a tag title match. They got Men on a Mission entering the ring. They go right to the back, and this bimbo from USA, I have her name here, Rhonda Shear, she was on a show called Up All Night at the time. She was talking to HBK, and then Burt Reynolds interrupts the promo, and basically Sean runs away or hides from Burt Reynolds for some reason. They go back to the ring, and there are the Quebecers in the ring with their titles, with Johnny Polo as the manager, with Oh Canada playing as their entrance song, which I found really funny. So, Men on a Mission win the match via count-out when Polo basically pulled his guys out of the ring. And of course, titles cannot change hands over a count-out. And Men on a Mission are shown in the ring posing with the belts, even though obviously they didn't win the titles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after a quick little word from the network.
Pro wrestling got you down? Need something to lift your spirits? Listen to the podcast at AngryMarks.com. If wrestling gets you all hot and bothered, we've got what you need. Visit AngryMarks.com or subscribe for free on iTunes. The AngryMarks.com podcast, where the marks get nothing but satisfaction.
Okay, welcome back. To go right to WrestleMania 6 clip of the match of Hogan versus Warrior. And Gorilla Monsoon, who's voicing over all these WrestleMania clips, says at WrestleMania 6 it was proven that no one is unbeatable. And to me it seemed like they were starting to bury Hogan at this time. There's another point I have later on in the show. So, they announced Rhonda Shear come out. The guest celebrities, Rhonda Shear from the USA show, she's going to be the guest timekeeper. And with her is Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block, who's going to be the ring announcer for the next match. And I hate to say it, but Donnie Wahlberg has the worst Boston accent I've ever heard, ever. Like, it was the worst ever. Oh, it was just terrible. You know, it's a prototypical Boston accent, like Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting, terrible Boston accent. Ugh. Anyways, the match was for the heavyweight title. It was the first title match because of the double elimination at the Royal Rumble between Bret Hart and Lex Luger. Luger won the coin toss. He has to fight Yokozuna first, and the winner of Yokozuna fights Bret at the end of the show. Bret had to fight again, so he fought Owen of the opener. So you have Yokozuna versus Lex Luger, and the guest referee is Mr. Perfect, and you could tell Mr. Perfect came out for this match. His back was really bothering him. He was wearing, best you could say, his referee pajamas. He has a referee top and referee matching bottoms like jogging pants. It's pretty ridiculous. Basically, Perfect felt that he was disrespected by Luger in the match, and when Luger hit Yokozuna with his elbow, the Cornette and Mr. Fuji tried to get involved. Luger threw them in the ring, beat them up, and then went to pin Yokozuna. Perfect refused to count. When Luger put his hand on Perfect's face, or on his chest, Perfect disqualified Lex Luger for abuse of official. Kind of stupid if you ask me, but that's the way they went. After the match, Perfect is talking to Todd Pettengill. Luger comes to the back and basically looks for Perfect. They have a shouting match, and it starts a shoving match, and they have to be separated, and it's pretty loud and whatever. We go to a WrestleMania 7 clip of another great match. The blindfold match. Of all the matches of WrestleMania 7, they decided to highlight the blindfold match between Rick the Mauler Martel and Jake the Snake Roberts. Back to the ring, where Harvey Wippleman basically is there to introduce his wrestler Adam Bomb, but instead Wippleman decides to pick a fight with the Fink, ripping his suit, insulting him. Adam Bomb runs out from the back, trying to basically, he's going to save his manager. And before you know it, Adam Bomb's opponent, Earthquake, comes out from the aisle and basically takes out Adam Bomb. This quick squash match for Earthquake. It didn't last more than 30 seconds, really. This is one of my favorite parts here. Todd interviews Yokozuna backstage. Basically, Cornette does the interview. Yokozuna just stands in the corner looking all menacing with the title belt, and near the end of the promo, the camera zooms in on Yokozuna's face, and he gets more and more angry while Cornette delivers one of the greatest promos I've ever heard him do. Maybe top 10 promos, and that's saying something about Cornette. I mean, he really, really loves this promo. And of course, Yokozuna standard with a winged eagle belt. I love that winged eagle belt. It's one of my favorite belts WWE's ever had. It's right up there with the big gold belt that's right now used in, I think, SmackDown. They go to WrestleMania 8 clip, the appearance of The Undertaker, and The Undertaker wasn't on this card. Sad to say, I believe he was injured at the time. When we go to the next match, it is another great match from WrestleMania 10, one of the best of all time, the original ladder match from WWE's perspective, Razor Ramon versus HBK. Everyone has seen this match. It is a 5-star match in my opinion, back and forth. It was the original ladder match. They rose the bar basically. There was no bar there. They set the standard. It was a great match. I love this ladder match. Of course, Razor Ramon wins it after Shawn tries to climb the ladder. Razor shoulder tackles the ladder. Shawn falls off, crotches himself, gets his foot tied up, and then as he tries to get his foot untied, ties his arm up. Razor climbs the ladder, gets the belts, and that's the final finish. One quick note, Diesel does get ejected early on from the match for interference, and that was that. We go to another Clinton segment, this time with Ted DiBiase, and of course DiBiase gives that classic line, even you, Mr. President, has a price everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man. Kind of lame, but this whole Clinton segment's pretty lame in my opinion. WrestleMania 9, the clip they show is Fuji throwing the salt at Brett and basically saying a night of deceptions, or a night of misgivings or something like that. Basically another shot at Hogan, because after Brett took the face full of salt, Yoko pinned him, Hogan came out from the back, pinned him, Hogan was the new champ, but they never mentioned that. So I believe WrestleMania 10 was a time when WWE or WF at the time was really upset at Hulk Hogan. So we'll take another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the main event of Brett versus Yoko, and we'll see what you guys have to say about that. So we'll be right back after this.
Hey, this is Chess Army.
And this is the Quintastic One.
Together we host QC Wrestling Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
The hottest pure wrestling podcast on the internet.
So make sure to check us out every week on the AngryMarks.com podcast network.
We'll see you there, and until next time, stay just Quintastic.
Yo, this is your bro Danny, and alongside my main man Big Daddy Donnie, we bring you nothing but the best in online wrestling radio, baby. The O Show, each and every week, right here on AngryMarks.com. Be sure to log on to our website, that's THAOSHOW.com, for the bomb, the show that makes you say, oh, each and every week on AngryMarks.com, baby.
Welcome back to the show, and as opposed to, well, before we get to the main event, I just want to say I'm watching the World Series on the TV, and in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Phillies have just tied the game on a solo home run. So it's tied at 4, bottom of the 8th, New York Yankees, Philadelphia Phillies, turning out to be probably the best game of the series right now. It's a really good game. Anyways, back to the review. But before I do that, I want to give a quick shout out to the network. The lineup for the shows: Monday night you've got SWO Radio with Stevie Graham and Jess Hardy. Tuesday night you got Ring the Bell with Nikolai, Killer Kev, and Denon. Wednesday night sometimes you'll have Rubber Guard Radio, but of course the main event of course is going to be Super Friends with Big D. He's always got a great show Wednesday nights. I can't recommend that show high enough. Thursday night is the original Angry Marks podcast with the boss himself, Stevie J. Friday night, you got the Drunk Cast. Saturday night, you got QCW Wrestling with Boo Killer 99, Chess Army, and the Fantastic One. Sunday nights, you've got K4D. Also, the O Show and the Handsome Genius Club also make an appearance on the Angry Marks Podcast Network through the iTunes channel. this show hopefully will be on iTunes as well because, well, this is my last show on the Sunday night time slot. The future of this show is still in doubt. Not in doubt per se, but basically it's going on the shelf for retooling. It will be back at some time. I'm hoping in 2 weeks, latest a month. I got to figure some stuff out on my end, but I will have this show back in some way, shape, or form. I can promise you that. So let's go to the main event here. We've got a video package detailing Brett and Yoko. In the video package, they show the some old school footage of Brett and I believe Owen wrestling in the dungeon with Stu, like a black and white type movie, and it's really cool because I haven't seen this before. This old school footage, and I really liked it. I wish I would have used it on Bret Hart's DVD he put out much later, but whatever. The guest timekeeper for this show, or for this match, Jenny Garth, who played Kelly on 90210. Oh, before I forget, a quick shout out to Fight Game Blog Radio. Gigi and Big D do a show, fightgameblog.com. Check that out as well. And of course, the ring announcer for this main event match is Burt Reynolds. I talked about this match last week because it was on the Greatest Superstars of WrestleMania with, they had Bret Hart, Yokozuna. I already talked about this one. Special guest referee was Roddy Piper. It was a short match. The winning thing happened when Yoko took Bret to the corner. He was going to give the bonsai drop. His leg shook. He fell down. Bret pinned him 1, 2, 3, new champ. That was the end of WrestleMania. So, that is WrestleMania 10 in a nutshell. Pretty much keep it brief and short. And let's get D on the line. D, are you still there?
That wasn't the end of WrestleMania, bro. You forgot a key moment there, man.
Oh, that's right, I did.
Very key.
At the end of the match, basically the faces came out and basically hoisted Bret on their shoulders. Monsoon was in the ring. Patterson was in the ring. McMahon was in the ring. And then they cut to Owen standing in the aisleway, and he took 3 steps, and Savage actually held the ropes open for him, and he shook his head no and walked back to the dressing room. And
beautiful,
then that was
dog.
it. So,
it was beautiful. You know, what I loved about that was the first guy to come out was Luger. That was the first guy to come out. He looks at Bret like, you son of a bitch, I got fucked over earlier in the night. And man, I love wrestling back then. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love 1994 WWF. I can't even begin to. And they said it was the Dark Ages. Man, whoever says that can suck my ass. I love 1994. And then he fucking gives him the hug and.
Yeah, but it reminded me of you win the match at WrestleMania, and then your friend of yours or a colleague of yours is standing right there. Almost reminiscent of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 20.
But it was different because Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit were both champions, and in this case, Luger got fucked, and that could have been him. Like, that was the whole idea. Like, that could have been me. That could have been me, and you ended up winning, and I got fucked by a shitty referee, and so on and so forth. And they were going to set up a Luger Perfect match, but Perfect couldn't wrestle because of the Lloyds of London thing.
Yeah.
And, oh, Lord, what a story. And I loved how they lifted out. You don't see that anymore when they freaking hoisted him on his shoulders. And I think, when was the last time they did that? Was it Angle in 2001 when they did that last?
I would say that, or maybe when Evolution did it with Randy Orton and then Triple H getting the thumbs down and then just.
No, I'm not counting that. I'm not. Okay. I'm talking about like a legit like when they didn't do the Angle. You know what I mean? Like a legit, like everybody comes out and holds them up. It might have been Angle. 2001. Well, what I loved about the story, I mean, the whole story of that was that Yoko was just destroying everybody. I mean, if you really look back at Yokozuna, right, he started in 1992, late 92, around like October or so, started squashing guys like Virgil, I mean, just destroying everybody. I mean, everybody. I remember the match on Raw, one of the early Raws with Randy Savage. Randy Savage is just bleeding all over, and Yokozuna is just destroying him and taking these, main event guys, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, every guy they put in front of him, he was just running through with ease. Then he wins the title, beats Hogan at King of the Ring. survives against Lex Luger, then he fucking, has more matches, destroying guys. Nobody could stop him. Nobody could beat him. He beat Razor. He beat everybody. And
it was reminiscent of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I think Brock got a stronger push, though, because Brock was beating... I don't want to say that... the fact is, in 2002, WWF had been more stars than in '94. But yeah, I guess you're kind of right. Yoko never lost. He never lost. He lost to Luger at that SummerSlam via countout. One of the biggest flops ever. But no, man, he just built up great. I think. I thought he was one of the best, monster heels ever. I think he's better than Bundy.
See, the thing is, I only know Bundy from his WWE. Like, the only time, I saw him in World Class. The only match I saw him in World Class was when he fought Fritz in the stadium show when he had hair.
The most famous one, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, is that the same guy?
He has hair. Oh my God. I love
here in Ottawa. I saw Bundy here.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've seen Bundy live in Ottawa, a little show maybe 5-6 years ago, and he still does the 5 count.
Oh, he does? I love the 5 count. 5. Yeah, I heard he's one of the nicest people ever. Like,
yeah, it's weird seeing Raven as Johnny Polo. I forgot about that gimmick.
I remember Johnny Polo as Raven. He was like Johnny the Body and Scotty the Body.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. You know what, though? I'll tell you this. I got a couple buddies that were at that WrestleMania. And I remember, I have fond memories of that year. Again, I love 1994 WWF. I really do. I can tell you almost everything about that year, but I can tell you this. I got a couple buddies who were there at that show, and when Piper came out to be the referee, they told me it was one of the biggest pops they ever heard in their life. Like when you talk about Madison Square Garden pops, like the crowd going nuts, there's 3 that come to mind, and this is what they said, and I agree. Number 1 was Piper at WrestleMania 10. Number 2 was Triple H's return to Raw in 2002 when he tore his quad. And number 3 was John Cena at the 2008 Royal Rumble. Those are the 3 Garden pops.
Had to be there. Well,
what?
I think it was disappointment, but when Slaughter at Raw a few months ago said Brett was here and they played Brett's music, that was a huge pop. And then Duggan came out and I'm like, you fucker.
Yeah.
It was in Calgary and it was like, it was fit so perfect and the crowd had no idea. And it was a great pop. Even on TV it came across really well.
Did you go to that show?
No, I'm in Ottawa near, about 3 hours from New York, basically.
Toronto area.
Yeah, about 3 hours from Toronto. Yeah. If WrestleMania is in Toronto, then I'm definitely going to be there. So if any Angry Marks are there, I'm sure we'll do something, have some Molson or something.
Actually, it might be. 28 might be there. So there's talk. It would be unfair because. I'm sorry, but Toronto's already had 2 WrestleManias and 2 big ones, so,
So is New York.
Well, yeah, New York's had 3. No, 4. They've had 4. WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 10, and WrestleMania 20.
Yep. And think about Trump Plaza. They had 4 and 5.
Yeah, and that's right next to New York.
Yep.
And Philly had 1, which is also in that area.
No,
if they're going to do one in... What, go ahead?
Well, we're about to lose the live feed, so we'll probably catch the rest of the show on the download.
Downloads are more important.
Exactly. What about Florida? If they have WrestleMania there again, you going to go?
Oh, hell yeah. Of course I will, man. And that's the rumor. They were talking about doing it in Tampa. Then they were talking about, that's where I live, talking about doing it in Miami. Oh, hell yeah, I'll go. Because I'll tell you what, I felt lucky because I went to WrestleMania 24. And WrestleMania 24 has been described to me by a lot of people as being the most different WrestleMania because it was outside. And I'll tell you what, there is a difference in indoor and outdoor. There really is. When you're outdoor, like the way they shot those fireworks up into the air, you're never going to see that kind of pyro show again unless they go outdoors, because they can't do that shit indoors and people will die, but the way they shot the pyro out like that, like you'll never see a better pyro display from that company ever again unless they're outdoors again. And like the fact that it was like cold, because it was cold, but it was still like not like freezing. Oh, it was a great time of year, great temperature. It was raining a little bit. I remember it was raining a little bit before the show started, and everybody was like, oh my God, it's actually going to rain during WrestleMania, yes! But it didn't happen.
I remember the YouTube clip of basically the fans running away because the fireworks were blown into the wind and were hitting the seats. And you see like a shaky cell phone camera. People are like, oh my God, and they're running for their lives basically.
Well, yeah, some people got hit with the fire. Like 50 people got burnt or some shit. Thank God I wasn't up there. Oh, I want to tell you one thing. When you were describing the Crush versus Randy Savage match, Blog Talk fucked you over. Your voice was muted for a little bit, so just letting you know when you listen back to the show, you're going to notice that.
Oh, Jesus. Well,
unless it was my fault, but that's what I think happened.
I'll talk about my voice being choppy because, like, partying last night, my voice was a little shot. I was out with some friends, and we were supposed to go to the movie theater, and we get to the theater, and there's big signs saying all shows have been sold out, even though they weren't advertised being sold out, even though it's just a big mess. So we all went back to someone else's place, and we ended up watching a movie and just having lots of fun. So it was a great time, except my voice is bad today. But other than that, I had a good time.
Absolutely, and it was a good review, and it brings back fond memories. That show, especially being a Bret Hart fan, like if you're a Bret Hart fan, that's the show for you. There are certain shows that you should have if you're a Bret Hart fan. That one, you should have Survivor Series 95 when he won the title from Diesel. Of course, you got to have the Bret Hart DVD. King of the Ring 93, must have.
I would even say WrestleMania 13 with the double turn with Stone Cold.
Of course. Oh, I was going to say that too. Yeah, WrestleMania 13, Canadian Stampede, another one that's a must-have. And these are great shows on their own.
There's a pop right there when he came out as the leader of his team to fight the Americans. That was amazing.
Were you there for that one?
No, I haven't been to a pay-per-view. I've been to a Raw, I've been to a SmackDown, I've been to a SmackDown ECW show, but I haven't been to a live pay-per-view. When I was at SmackDown last time, Hogan did a run-in at the end to save, it was Hogan doing a run-in, I forget why, but I think he was saving X-Pac or NWO type stuff or something, I don't know, but I just remember Hogan running at that age. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to break a hip. It's pretty funny.
Hey, how far is Calgary from where you stay at? It's like a long way. That's like 10 hours, right?
By car, yeah. By air, I can be 3 hours to drive to Toronto, but to fly out to Calgary, it's probably about 3 hours, 4 hours by plane, but 10 hours probably by car, yeah.
It's probably worth it to fly to have gone to see Canadian Stampede, because that was the show that had Mankind and Triple H, and they fought like all around the building for the whole pay-per-view. They fought for the entire pay-per-view all around the building. You had to like look around for them.
I think it had like Great Sasuke against Taka Michinoku, I believe.
Sasuke and Michinoku, oh, that was so fucking awesome. Oh, yeah. And then the 10-man tag, of course, with the Hearts, and they all celebrated, and that was good times. That was great. But again, the 90, what?
I was going to say one quick point about WrestleMania 10, and I talked to you about this before off the air. A lot of people on WrestleMania 10 on the card are passed on. Like, you had, like, Owen Hart, you had Bryan Adams, you had Earthquake, you had Moolah, you had Captain Lou, you had Classic Ricky Blassie, you had Bam Bam, you had Gorilla Monsoon, his son, Joey. Perfect, yeah, oh my God, yeah, perfect. But, you have all these people, I'm thinking, that'd be great. Oh, he's dead. Oh, no, he's dead. Like, oh, Jesus. And, I almost made a joke. I found it funny. Little Richard's still alive and Michael Jackson's dead. I don't get it.
Fair.
That's just me.
Not fair.
No.
Little Richard's still alive and Mark Maro's still alive, too, and they both look exactly alike. They look identical, They do. Yeah. That show was funny because that was the first WrestleMania. We're going to talk about, I can give you all little tidbits about that show. That was the first WrestleMania to ever have the opening door hallway thing in the set. That was the first WrestleMania to ever have Jerry Lawler call a WrestleMania. I remember that. That was the first WrestleMania to ever have 2 championship matches. No, actually, it was the second because WrestleMania 9 had it. 2 advertised World Championship matches.
No, the thing is, Gorilla Monsoon was also doing commentary for, I believe, the international broadcast.
I think it was Radio WWF.
It might have been Radio WWF, you could be right. But I remember him sitting in a table next to JR, the King and Vince, in a very cool white suit. And I'm like, that's a nice suit. You got to give it up for the Gorilla for that.
Absolutely. I didn't even notice that. Also, what makes this really important, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, this was the first WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Well,
that is historic.
Yeah. And
I mean, Hogan was all over the first 9.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Go ahead.
I was going to say also with Leilani Kai fighting the women's match. I mean, she was
Leilani Kai. Why'd you say her name wrong? Leilani Kai.
I'm Canadian.
I know, but Leilani Kai, yeah, she fought at the first WrestleMania against Wendy Richter.
Yep.
In a match nobody remembers. But I loved Alundra Blaze back then. I mean, Medusa, whatever. She was having those kick-ass matches with Bull Nakano, and they were putting these matches on Raw, like building them up. Everybody talks about how, Trish and Lita main evented Raw. Well, fucking Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano main evented Raw back in '94. Then they showed the match from the fucking Tokyo Dome, when they called it the Egg Dome. Yep. When Bull Nakano won the belt and the whole crowd went nuts, and man, WWF used to actually do shit back then. Nowadays, this fucking company is so like inside of its own world, the WWE universe. Like they don't ever do like shit with outside organizations, nothing. It's just we're WWE. That's all we are. Whereas back in those days, they would do shit with All Japan. They bring in ECW people. They fucking. Oh, man, I miss those days. But I love 94, though. I really do.
Now TNA is doing it.
Yeah, but nobody gives a fuck about TNA. Even though I like TNA, even though it's going to get bigger now a little bit, nobody really gives a fuck about it. Until they actually compete, nobody's going to give a shit,
But they do have the relationship with IWGP.
Oh, I know, with New Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, New Japan.
And they had a relationship with AAA. I don't know if they still do, though.
But Dee, I'm going to end the show soon. The floor is yours. You want to say anything? The floor is yours, buddy.
What was that? I was going to say something about this. I was going to say. Oh yeah. Do you remember? Before this show, they had a. This is really going back, but they had a thing called the Road to WrestleMania. They actually did this, I think, in '94 and '93. It was like this live special. It was like a 2-hour Sunday night special. Yeah, it was called The Road to WrestleMania. I just remember it opened up with Owen cutting a promo, and he cut a badass fucking promo. Do you remember what I loved? I love wrestling back then. Owen used to come to the ring, and he would pretend to give his sunglasses to a little kid, then he'd rip them up in front of the kid's face. Do you remember that?
I do.
Oh, man, I love this era, bro. He kicked Brett. I kicked your leg out of your leg, that infamous promo. The Quebecers, the best tag team of the year. Man, I want to go back and get all those Raws from that time.
I'm sure they're out there somewhere.
Man, I mean, I got 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. I got all those, but I want the ones from 94. Remember when 1-2-3 Kid Mark Jannetty won the belts on Raw, and then lost them the next week?
Yep. Definitely.
Man. Or remember when Kevin Nash won the IC belt on Superstars and shocked the world?
I can remember the whole Backlund loss in 7 seconds. They showed the whole match. It was ding ding, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was in the Garden. I was actually going to ask you about that. If you remember the whole Backlund storyline where Backlund got a shot against Brett, right? And I remember being a kid, right? I was 10 years old, all right? I was 10. And I remember I was a smart little kid because I was thinking, wait a minute, who the heck did Backlund beat to get that shot? Me being a kid, I remember thinking that, I don't remember Bob Backlund beating anybody to get that title shot. He didn't win a battle royal. He didn't beat Luger or any of these, top guys. He just automatically just got a title shot against Bret Hart on Superstars. Then Bret Hart beats him by a small package or some shit. It was like a roll-up. and then Backlund snaps on him and slaps him in the face, and then, you know, puts him in the cross-face chicken wing, and they built up that storyline for a couple months, and, you know, and then you're right, he won the belt at the Survivor Series because Owen screwed him, and then Bulldog was there too, but yeah, then Kevin Nash or Diesel did the power bomb in the Garden in like 8 seconds and beat him. That was like the last Garden show of the year.
So what is your show on this Wednesday? Is there a theme for this Wednesday show?
Frank Kremen, my friend. I told you earlier.
Brent, I wanted to see if you were announcing on the show there. If for
on
people
here?
who don't know, on the download, people who might not know who Brent Kremen is.
Oh, well, a lot of people. That's the thing. A lot of people are not going to know who Brent Kremen is unless you're a subscriber to the board. And we all know that my fucking show is definitely not a board-centric show, even though it seems like every other show is, which they can, except for yours and, you know, the good ones. They can all kiss me. But Brent is quite the character. That's all I'm going to say. It's hard to describe Brent Kremen, but let's just say if you don't know who Brent Kremen is, tune into the show because you will be entertained. There has never been a moment where Brent has not entertained me. So I don't even think he even knows how funny he really is. But we'll see when we get him on.
The only thing I could say about him is that he is the man responsible for shutting down the WrestleMania 19 press conference in Seattle.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can have him tell that story.
I don't know 100%, but I believe he shut it down because he asked a question. I think he asked, why does Paul Levesque not lose the championship or some... That's Brent for you. But he just got out of a mental institution
for the second time.
I believe for the second time in Minnesota. So this is going to be quite the show. I'm very excited. We were supposed to have Human Tornado on, but Human Tornado is the only wrestler that does not have a phone. So those of you out there wondering about Human Tornado, I don't want to call him broke, but damn, bro, you got to have a fucking phone. I mean, you know, especially if you're a wrestler. But then again, in Southern California, there's only a couple of companies, and they're all via email. So, but I'd still have a freaking phone. I mean, what if like something happens? You got to call somebody. I don't know. All I know is Brent's going to be there, and Brent's probably funnier. But I'm still going to try and get Tornado on in the future.
And, of course, Super Friends, you can also check out their webpage at superfriendsradio.blogspot.com. Dee, I want to thank you for coming on my show. And
you're welcome.
I'm going to let you go. I got some things I got to say before I end the show, but once again, thanks for coming on.
Can you put me on mute so I can listen to what you have to say?
Of course. Thank you, Dee. I want to thank Stevie J and Killer Kev for basically putting the show on the network. Stevie, thanks a lot, man. I don't know if I would have had the confidence, but you guys helped me out. Also to Stevie Graham, Big D,